for the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Let's be real. Nobody really liked Rachel Zegler, especially after the infamous Snow White interview. Rachel had the opportunity to become the biggest star, but by joining the woke movement, she threw away her fame and her future roles. And most of all, even someone like Steven Spielberg, who very much ignited her fame, was saying that she was sort of a headache. Before we dive in, if you're interested in Hollywood-related drama, do give us a sub. The rise of a star nobody saw coming. Rachel's rise to fame sounded like a Disney musical. She was born in New Jersey in 2001 to a Colombian mother and a Polish father. Rachel grew up with her big and shiny dream to capture that stage. Honestly, she was more than a theater kid. Rather, Rachel was a promising prospect who could become the next Gal Gadot. By high school, she was already starring in local productions of Beauty and the Beast, Les Miserables, and Shrek. Her YouTube channel, filled with covers of movie songs, had a modest following. Not the viral fame, but enough to show that she was built for something big that she has been chasing. Then came the moment that would change everything.
What is the best or most surprising advice that Steven Spielberg ever gave you?
Everybody else is just as scared as you are, so use it.
In 2018, Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest and most influential filmmakers in history, announced he was remaking West Side Story and looking for a Latina lead. Thousands of girls auditioned, but Rachel's voice and screen presence were so dominant that they overpowered everyone, winning Spielberg's heart. At the young age of 17, she managed to land the lead role of Maria by beating out the other 30,000 auditionees. Overnight, she became Hollywood's Cinderella story. We gotta give her the props here because that's just impressive. Can you imagine a New Jersey teenager becoming the most legendary director alive? People started calling her the next big thing. Disney executives were happy, and the future looked brighter than gold. But as we know, midnight always comes. West Side Story. West Side Story 2021, the movie that was supposed to be her coronation, the movie that made Rachel from nobody to Oscar contender, bombed at the box office. Not because of Rachel or her screen presence. She delivered a heartfelt and emotional performance filled with raw talent.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and bright and I pity.
The problem was that the audience no longer wanted to do musicals. The box office numbers barely scraped profit, and Rachel's big debut suddenly looked less like a triumph and more like a warning shot. Still, Hollywood didn't care. Spielberg had endorsed her, and that was enough. She became the new darling of the industry, being invited to every event, interviewed by every magazine, adored by the internet, for about 5 minutes. Then came the first crack in the golden facade. At the Academy Awards in 2022, Rachel, the star of a Spielberg movie, was not invited. Yes, the actress who was nominated for 7 Oscars wasn't on the guest list. Most actors would not have cared, but Rachel did. She took it on social media and openly complained about it.
In the comments section, a user wrote, "Can't wait to see what you'll be wearing on Oscar night." Zegler responded, "I'm not invited, so sweatpants and my boyfriend's
Tweets, posts, comments everywhere. She turned her personal snub into an online global pity party. Fans criticized and guilt-tripped the Academy, and eventually, they caved. They didn't just invite her, but also gave her a presenting role. It was a power move. But it also revealed something darker: entitlement. This kind of attitude Hollywood only tolerates from those who have earned it. And Rachel hadn't, at least not yet. But that didn't stop her. In fact, it was only the start of what would become one of the most rapid self-destructions in modern film history: the Shazam disaster. When Rachel stepped into the superhero world by successfully landing a role in Shazam, the Fury of Gods, many thought it was her chance to show her range in acting. It was something light before her big musical. But Rachel, being Rachel, decided to be honest. During an interview, when she was asked about the movie and what drew her to this role, she just smirked and said, "I needed a job. I'm being so serious." It was meant to be a joke, but it landed like a bomb. She just told the world and the studio that she took the role not because she cares about the role or the movie, but because she was desperate and needed money. In an industry built on ego and PR, this is considered career suicide. The film bombed at the box office spectacularly, and her answer became meme fodder across all social media platforms. "I needed a job" became the caption for everything wrong with Hollywood's self-absorbed new generation. Still, Hollywood executives believed in her talent and thought she could be redeemed in some way. After all, she was young, talented, and under contract for something big. Disney's golden girl turns to dust. When the announcement from Disney was made about Rachel being Snow White in a live-action remake, it was meant to be the crowning moment of her short but interesting career. Disney seemed to have found their perfect lead: young, ethnically diverse, with a Broadway-quality voice and some new energy. They were thinking of grooming her to be the next Jennifer Lawrence, outspoken, confident, and relatable. But it turned out to be something of a PR nightmare for almost everybody. She couldn't handle the fame. And now, the Hollywood promoters couldn't handle what she had actually become. When Rachel started promoting Snow White, she took a different approach, and instead of just promoting the movie, she sort of ruined the movie for everyone. She criticized the original 1937 film, calling the prince a stalker and saying that the old story was outdated. But we all know that fans would always want to see something that is authentic, which they surely weren't getting with this version of Disney Snow White. To make things worse, she also started boasting that her version of Snow White would be like a leader who didn't need a man.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Now, that kind of woke mindset might have worked a few years ago, but by 2023, audiences were already done with remakes for modern audiences. So, the backlash happened immediately, and it was brutal. The internet turned against her overnight. Clips of her red carpet interviews started circulating on the internet. Not because people loved her, but because people could not stand her arrogance. Every smirk, every soundbite, every snide remark became the ammunition to be used in what fans called the Zegler War. Even the infamous press tour of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, which was considered a PR disaster for a long time, started looking tame in comparison to what Rachel did. This helped Rachel officially become Hollywood's most hated princess. If you're enjoying this dive into the chaos of modern Hollywood, do subscribe to this channel so that this type of content keeps coming. The internet strikes back. The internet never forgets. Once fans smell blood, they definitely go for the kill. And this time, the target was Rachel Zegler herself.
This bitch can sing, bro. This bitch can sing. If she'd shut the fuck up and just stick to singing, this would be the most popular movie in the world. Instead, she's running her mouth, talking about her opinion. No, who wants to hear a woman's opinions? Anybody? Anyone?
Every past interview, every quote, every social media post was dragged into the spotlight. Rachel's offhand comments about feminism, privilege, and working hard were reinterpreted as arrogance, and they worked as fuel for the fire. She was accused of being dismissive, elitist, and, worst of all, fake.
Andrew Tate rented an entire theater to watch Disney's Snow White live and comment on.
Disney came in to take control and save their lead actress. They delayed the release of Snow White by over a year to reduce the damage to box office collections. Executives assigned Rachel a social media manager to filter her posts. Some insiders even claimed that the studio considered altering her role digitally in promotional materials. But that wasn't the end, because in the middle of ego, pride, and a lot of other God complex related issues, Rachel was slowly destroying her career without knowing it. Just think like this. When the first trailer of the new Snow White dropped, it became the most disliked video on YouTube. We never thought anything would replace the YouTube Rewind 2018, but here we are. But that's where Rachel doubled down and dabbled in a controversy she shouldn't have. She started sharing her political opinions about the Israel-Palestine crisis, something that would further send her career crashing down in places she would never have expected. The result? Chaos, backlash, boycotts, as expected. Disney executives faced nightmares of trending hashtags they couldn't suppress. Reports came in that the producer, Mark Platt, personally called Rachel and asked her to take down the post, and she refused. The meltdown nobody could save. By early 2025, the situation had become unsalvageable. At this point, no amount of PR cleanup could make the audience forget the endless interviews in which she dismissed the classic story or insulted fans. When Snow White was finally released in March 2025, it flopped at the box office. Critics panned it as lifeless, soulless, and painfully preachy. The film lost hundreds of millions, and Rachel became the face of it all as she was the lead actress. She was not being seen as an actress in a failed movie, but as the failure herself. She became the symbol of everything audiences hated about modern Hollywood: entitlement without accomplishment, ego without empathy, message without magic. Her co-stars reportedly kept their distance during all the press tours. Tension built behind the scenes boiled over with the whispers of on-set feuds and diva behaviors. Rachel's once glamorous reputation was turned into a punchline by the time of the Oscars that year. The social media was flooded by memes like, "the fairest of them all in her own mind," "Mirror, mirror, who ended her career?" "The internet is cruel, but it sounds like poetry." That made Rachel Zegler Hollywood's biggest failure. And worst of all, she, herself, did it all. Silence in the spotlight. Rachel vanished after the disastrous failure of Snow White. Her name disappeared from upcoming casting lists. Nobody announced any new projects. Now she had to retreat, and she went to London's West End to perform in Evita. It is a respectable but low-profile theater role, which is called a quiet corner of showbiz where the fallen stars go to lick their wounds. Reports said that the show struggled to sell tickets. You see, this was a very humbling moment for Rachel. Just a few years ago, she was the next big thing, according to Steven Spielberg, and now, nobody wanted to even associate with her anymore. In short, nobody in Hollywood wanted their own career suicide after being affiliated with someone who was so unpredictable and was always putting up controversial stories and thoughts. Rachel could sing, dance, and act, yet she was still followed by her demons that didn't let her opinions slide. Can she ever come back? Is it over for Rachel Zegler? We can't say forever because Hollywood likes redemption arcs. If she vanishes long enough, finds humility, and returns with a strong performance and better mindset, she might rebuild. But the odds are steep. The public and the internet are never gonna forget the memories she gave. It'll take years, maybe a decade, for her to gain trust again. And even then, she will always carry the ghost of Snow White, the $300 million disaster that turned a promising young actress into a meme. Maybe one day she will be able to find peace in small projects away from the toxic glare of Hollywood. The moral story of Rachel Zegler is not just about failure, it's about how quickly success can turn to self-destruction when ego outruns experience. We cannot say Hollywood destroyed her because she destroyed herself. Now write your thoughts about this in the comment section and press the subscribe button for such tales of fame and failure from the empire of Hollywood.